your SaaS company through customer support. It's mostly just going to be me telling my story and telling my company's story. So if you have any questions or anything to add, please speak up. Of course, this wouldn't be possible without our sponsors. So thank you for joining us. And thank you to our title sponsors, Amazon, Capital One Cafe, Dell for Startups, and the Downtown Denver Partnership. This session is sponsored by Slalom, who has that huge booth in the back. Please grab some swag from them. They're handing it out. And they are one of 8 programming tracks aimed at supporting the entire entrepreneurial team. By attending this session, please follow the code of conduct, and you are being filmed and recorded. And then be sure to share your experience with #DEN Startup Week. And yeah, here's a look at our, there's so many sponsors, you guys. Title sponsors, the whole thing. So, perfect. All right, so to get us started, I do want you to think about your favorite brand. So pick one out in your mind. We're going to come back to it later. Think about your favorite brand and why. I want you to step out of your comfort zone and pick something that isn't within your own industry too, because that's where you live all day long. So whether it's hospitality or a restaurant or something like that, start getting the wheels turning on your favorite brand and why, and I'll be asking about it later, so be prepared. All right, so this is me. My name's Katie Walls. I'm the head of client success at Spectora. Yay, we've got quite a bit of representation in the blue shirts as well, so thanks to my team for coming out. Spectora is a home inspection software company, but as far as me, I come from a background in mostly escalated customer service and risk management at a couple of corporate headquarters that you might have heard of, like Southwest Airlines and Chipotle Mexican Grill. So, pretty cool. And then currently at Spectora, we have an all-time customer satisfaction rating of 98.6 and an NPS of 79. Which is great, and that's, I'm pretty sure why most of you are here, because I put that in the description. So we're going to talk about my experience and how we created that, and some tips of how to do that as well. Oh, and this is my dog, Jax. Very important to me, so everyone say hi to Jax. How many people are from bootstrap companies in the room, just out of curiosity? Perfect, this is going to be great for all of you. All right, so we'll talk a little bit more about Spectora. This is a bootstrap startup based here in Denver. Mike and Kevin are in the room. They're the founders, and we love them. This is our team now. So we've got 42, Lulu, correct me, 42 on our team now. And basically the way that they started the company and got some traction, the first 100 to probably 1,000 customers, was all by really grinding and building relationships. It wasn't, you know, spray and pray, as Kevin says, with mass emailing or anything like that. It was truly going above and beyond for each customer that came in the door, and then they would tell their friends about it. So a couple of examples: 6 a.m. demo slots to see the software for people who were in different time zones. Instant fixes within, 24 hours maximum. And same thing with feature requests. I'm sure you guys all know that's not easy to do, but if you want to get that customer, that's what they did. And then greeting people as if they're walking into a party. So if they're reaching out to you, and whether it's on the phone or email or chat, whatever it is, you can be like, oh my gosh, Lisa, thank you for reaching out to me. How can I help you? So thank you for coming to us, and greeting them as if they're coming into a party. And then my job has just been to scale that. So I came in at about 1,500 customers, and we really wanted to keep that same sentiment all the way up to our 7,500 customers that we have now. And this photo was actually taken like 3 weeks ago at our first team retreat, so yay. All right, so we're moving into a time where personalized products are going to become increasingly important. 74% of Gen Zers are interested in personalized products, and as you can see, all generations before that weren't as concerned about it. So as we're moving into that, you might not have a product that can be very personalized, but that's okay, because you can make your service very personalized. So if someone is coming to you and they're your friend and they feel that you are their business partner, that holds a lot more weight than them being able to click a couple of different buttons on your product. So keep in mind that this is something that you can definitely get ahead of. And if we think about it, Gen Z is also very active on social media compared to other generations. So word of mouth is going to go a lot further if somebody's posting about you than if they're just telling their friends like previous generations. Oh, and this stat is from the Salesforce State of the Customer 4th edition, in case you were wondering. All right, so our goal from the beginning has been to have the best customer service in any industry, and we've approached this by trying to drive natural company growth through word of mouth and relationship building. So like I said, from the beginning, it's never been about just mass marketing or anything like that. It's all been about relationship building. And the way that we've chosen to do that is even taking it, turning the looking glass toward ourselves and really looking at who works for this company and how are they going to talk to our customers versus trying to hire a bunch of people and train them to act the way we want them to. So that's the way that we've gone, and I'm just going to show you sort of some tips and the things that we focused on to make sure that we're doing that. All right, so this is our roadmap. We'll focus on hiring now. That's why it's got a star next to it. And then we'll go on to onboarding for results, aligning your teams, and then finally maintaining the culture that you've built. All right, hiring. This is fun. I know we're not in the people track, but in my opinion, this is super, super important for growth as well. And I'm just going to give my upvote for inexperienced hires for customer service roles in particular, in my experience, because we want to have the best customer service in any industry. Why would I want to hire someone who's been trained by another company in how to do customer service? So I've had really good luck with bringing on people who don't have experience because the skills for this job can be pretty easily trained. So those who have less experience, but the traits that we're looking for have been a lot more successful because they just make the decisions that we want them to make. We can also mold them into having the culture and the habits that we're trying to build. So if some of you already have a company and you're sort of wanting to create this, bringing on new people is just going to push you into this new era, I guess, of having excellent customer service, and it will influence the employees that you already have as well. Keep in mind also that bad habits, training those out takes longer on your training process and costs you more money in the long run. So if you can just start with a fresh, clean slate, person who's super driven, maybe intrinsically motivated is a good one, growth-minded, they can learn pretty much anything when it comes to this job, in my experience. At Spectora, our hiring motto is to hire people who give a shit. So that's pretty much what we're mostly focused on. We have a few questions just to kind of get to the root of accountability and things like that, but it's focused a lot less on, have you chatted with people before or have you answered emails before? And we've had some really good success with that. Some other examples of traits that can't be trained is just somebody who is intrinsically motivated. So they're motivated by, feeling like they've done a good job or the success of it versus fame or money or carrots and things like that. So if you're looking for examples, we can come up with more as well. So I would challenge you guys to open your hiring processes to newer people who are less experienced, given that you have the time to train them. Of course, it's going to take a little bit more time to get them into the role, but I assure you it's well worth it. And I do want to pause here for questions because this is the first piece of everything. couple of the most important traits that can't be recreated. Yeah. So I think the biggest ones that we look at are high accountability. We are a remote-based company, so we obviously have like a lot of people who are in Denver, but there are a lot more who are not. So having that high accountability, so you don't have to worry about what they're doing from day to day, or if they're making the correct decisions. Another one would be like honor, or just people who want to do the right thing. And these are not easy to get out of somebody in an interview because everyone is trying to trick you into thinking that that's the person that they are. But those are the biggest ones that we focus on. Yeah. What kind of questions do we ask? I'm just repeating because it's being recorded. So what kind of questions do we ask in an interview to get that out of them? We ask a lot about, like, what are your personal support systems? And how do you think about empathy? And questions that aren't necessarily about the job at all, but just more to get into the root of who this person is. And a lot of times the way that they even act before they answer the question kind of gives you the answer. And then whatever they say, you can tell if they're bullshitting you or not. Anything else? All right, I will pause again. So if something comes up, let me know. All right, so here we go into onboarding. Now that you've hired these great and semi-unskilled people, what do you do with them? First and foremost, what we focus on is ownership. Everybody should act like they own the company. So if somebody is chatting in and there's an escalated experience and they're super upset, I want my brand new person to think, okay, I can handle this person, and I might give them a call, or I might ask a developer for a favor just to get this person to a point where they're happy. Because if they did own the company, the buck would stop with them. So it's kind of how I want everybody on my team to feel. Of course, there's a lot of support, but that is the first step, is just feeling empowered to make those decisions. Secondly, we practice a lot. And this is something that I could do better for sure with our new hires, and I do have plans to do this. But actually pulling past conversations or fake conversations if you want to, and blur out the names. There's no need to put anybody on blast, but if you have examples of, your perfect conversation and then your worst case scenario conversation, send those out to your team and meet with them on a weekly basis and say, okay, what's your feedback on this anonymous chat? And then eventually, after you do it enough times, hopefully your feedback and your teammates' feedback are going to look pretty similar. And that just gives them so much context on what is expected and what is not okay in that scenario. And then finally, review. This isn't like a new idea or anything like that, but what we're focusing on here is giving your team members so much context that they really shouldn't be able to mess up. So going over their chats, making sure that you're going over the good ones and the bad ones, hopefully on a weekly basis, but for sure monthly, finding good and bad feedback. And I really do want to drive in the context piece of this, because I am not a believer in scripts for these roles. So if you're not giving somebody a script, you have to at least give them so much context that they really know what to expect. And then that way, when you come to them and say, hey, you didn't do this right, it makes a lot more sense. Okay. All right. And then this is the last piece of this, but creating mentorship opportunities for new hires is really awesome. And creates more context again. Because if their team lead and their manager and this other person that they've been paired up with are all acting in the same way, and they have a similar tone and way that they conduct themselves, they're just being reinforced in that. Also, obviously, a very good opportunity for your team member who's not in leadership to kind of dip their toes in that, see if they're good at it, and get some new skills as well. So it's kind of really good for everybody to be able to do this. Right now, the way that we do this is through shadowing opportunities. So a new person comes on and they meet via Zoom daily with somebody and they shadow what they do, and that way they can get, 2 hours plus of extra context in what they're supposed to be doing. So, okay, pausing again for questions on onboarding. Yes. Yeah. So this in particular, we're talking about customer support primarily via chat. We do phone calls and emails as well, but it's pretty entry level. However, we don't currently have any tiers. We're still pretty small. So everyone who's coming on is expected to become an expert in the product over 6 months or so through training. So is that helpful? Okay. Anyone else? Perfect. Okay, so we'll move on to aligning your teams. So this is going to be really important if you already, obviously all of you are already part of companies, so I wanted to bake this in that if you haven't been, focused on this from the very beginning, that you're able to kind of refocus and align the teams that you already have. So keep that in mind as we go into aligning your teams. Really, obviously customer service needs to be on this page, but you need everybody. You need the developers, customer facing, non-customer facing, particularly the whole leadership team to be on board with this initiative. Otherwise, it's just not going to happen. And a good way to do this is to add it to your company values, not just your company goals. So I'll bring up company goals in a little bit, but having this in your company values is a long-term commitment, and then the company goals are going to be a little bit more short-term and recurring. So for us, what do we have? It's be a good person is our company value that is related to this. And that just means be respectful, treat our customers with the utmost respect, and our employees as well. So it's a little bit sweeping, but you could get a little bit more specific in that as well. It's just kind of up to you how you want to customize that for yourself. But the most important thing is making sure that it is written down and incredibly visible for your whole team. For those of you who are in person, that's probably easier because you can just slap it on a poster and put it up in the office. But for us remote folks, it does make it a bit more of a challenge. So making sure that that does reach the front of your team's eyeballs, at least once a quarter is super important to remind them what it is that we're actually valuing here. And the fact that this isn't just a initiative that's going to fade away in a couple of months that, they don't have to care about. Right. Okay, so I mentioned this a little bit, but focusing on the first touch people. First and foremost, if you are trying to align your teams and transform your teams, so obviously this is going to be customer service, sales, customer success managers, those people. Make sure that they have adequate resources, that they get training, and that you trust them to be focusing on actually building relationships with your customers. So if you need to give them relationship training, cool. If they're doing a great job, that's awesome too. But you want to move inward from there. So even in our case, I think of our developers. They're all awesome people, but they don't really talk to our customers very often. And they might not have the same set of skills. So being able to give them the resources to be able to talk to a customer if necessary is really helpful for pushing this initiative too. You can also create opportunities for internal teams such as developers to help come up with ideas on how we can better serve our customers. So in an all hands or even in their own meeting, just letting them have a seat at the table when it comes to that will make them feel more valued and important with this situation. So, and then finally, sharing feedback with those internal teams. I'm going to keep using my developers as an example. We can sort of insert here. Right now, we have multiple Slack channels, too many for sure, that are all having to do with feedbacks. We have a feedback channel, and that's where we can post, hey, Luciano, you made this awesome feature, and our customer said this great thing about it. So it's almost like positive 5-star reviews for our developers, because a lot of times they only hear about, hey, you made this and it's broken and I need you to fix it now. So getting the developers on board and just having those feel goods that the customer service team is getting all day long, it's helpful to get them excited about that. You can also, we used to do this, we don't anymore, but have developers and other people from marketing and internal teams do like an hour or 4 hours a month just helping out the customer service team, whether it's chat bubble, phone, or email, because that's really the only thing that's going to bring them into that world is actually experiencing it. And then there's a lot more empathy that goes to the customer. They also just know who our customer is and how they think, and what they're upset about and what they're happy about, which can help drive this too. So make sure I hit everything. Okay, perfect. All right. Finally, build your perfect customer interaction. We did this just within our customer service team. You could do it with your leadership team. You could do it in an all hands if you want to. But this is essentially building your top 5 things that should happen in every single conversation, no matter what. So for us, it's a little bit vague, like, am I understanding what they're asking, or what they're asking about? Because if you don't understand it, then to me, that's a bad conversation because you're not even talking about the same things. So these are going to be your perfect conversation has these 5 things. You could also make it a lot more specific, like say the customer's name and things like that. I'm partial to a little bit more vague things. I don't know if you guys could tell that until now, but yeah, I like to give a little bit less exact answers and kind of let my team run with it, because ultimately I've spent so much time so far on hiring and onboarding amazing people who are going to be super driven and making amazing decisions that I don't want to limit them by saying, here's a script, here's exactly what you have to do in every conversation. So yeah, just create what is your ideal interaction. Just make sure it's easy to follow. And I actually had my team print out the 5 bullet points and just like tape it to their monitors so that they can have that there every day as a consistent reminder. So I'll pause there. Any questions on aligning your team? Yes. Yes, I have them. I just didn't want to read off, but I will now. Okay, number 1, do I understand what they're asking? Number 2, am I providing value in a way that ensures this client's success now and in the future? Number 3, am I using their time efficiently? Number 4, am I reading the room? And that's mostly just tone. If somebody's mad, you're not going to send them a smiley face or anything. And then number 5, if this was their only interaction with Spectora, would they want to buy the product right now? So, a little vague, but other questions? No. Perfect. All right, here we go. Finally, maintaining the culture you've built. So, we're there and we're done, right? No, you're not. You're never done. So again, I told you I'd circle back around to the company goals, different than company values, of course, but each quarter, you should have one goal that focuses on maintaining your customer happiness rating, your NPS, whatever you want to do, but keep it top of mind and make sure it's not just for your customer service team. Obviously, we just spent all this time aligning your other teams on the same initiative, so you don't want them to forget about that. All right, and then set clear expectations for candidates coming in. Part of maintaining this culture is making sure that you're not bringing in people who aren't going to be maintaining it. So half of this, of course, when you're interviewing, you want to make sure you're selling your company and saying, this is an amazing place to work. We have great benefits, great salary, great culture, all that kind of good stuff. But I truly believe you should try to sort of scare some people off a little bit. Because if you're trying to create something that is so amazing and everyone is so driven and growth minded, and you've got someone who just kind of doesn't want any of that, they just don't really want to focus on work too much, that's totally fine. We all have different places in our lives. But I do think we should be incredibly clear so that it's not getting into the company and saying, oh man, I don't really think this is for me. And I do think that helps kind of weed out a little bit if you can do it in a positive way. And then finally, tell your team what not to do. So we actually have a list of all the things that, ideally are happening in each position, but we also made kind of a floor, I'll call it. Okay, these are the things that, are not okay, such as disrespecting a coworker, having a negative tone with a coworker or a customer. So just making sure that you are writing down the things that are also not okay. That just provides even more context and allows everybody in your culture to thrive and be successful. So my challenge here is to document what not to do if you haven't done that already. A lot of you are bootstrapped, so documentation is probably few and far between, I would imagine. So go ahead and get on that. So just going to expand a little bit on the hiring aspect. Think of yourself as the bouncer for this organization. And take it as seriously as this guy is right here. So make sure that you are letting people in who are going to continue the goal. And remember, the goal is to have the best customer service in any industry, or you can insert your goal there. So make sure that you're always thinking about that goal. And if this person isn't going to get you to that goal sooner, or at least maintain it, then that person doesn't belong on your team. So do follow your gut, make decisions, and don't dilly-dally, I guess I'll call it. It's never fun letting somebody go off your team, but if you're completely sure and you've got everything to back it up, no need putting that off because they could be turning other people on your team as well. And then continually evaluate. So I think it's easy to kind of forget about people who have been around for a couple of years, but just keep in mind they need to work just as hard as everybody else does toward this goal. I like that. So yeah, just make sure that the expectations are exactly the same for everybody in the organization, no matter how long they've been here. And then I have a lovely quote. If any of you have not read Powerful by Patty McCord, please do that because it's amazing. Your job is to create an organization that's a great place to be from. So as you're thinking about that, you don't want to let anyone who is ruining that, continue to be around. Okay. Actually, I am going to pause there. Any questions? Yes. How do I manage culture on my team given that we are remote? We are consistently trying to get better at this. I have a lovely head of people who helps me with this, and we do, like little activities outside of work and things like that. But I'd say during the day, I didn't even start this, but because I have to brag, I've hired amazing people. They will get on Zoom during the day and kind of talk to each other while they're working because otherwise remote work can be pretty isolating. So that's a big one. And I'd say a lot of it is through Slack, though. It's called Tacos. Is that the official name? Hey Taco is the official name. And you can send someone a taco emoji as a compliment, like, hey, tacos to Lulu because she did this amazing thing for me or she helped me out. So we have a culture of gratitude back and forth as well. And we model posting in there very regularly. So we have a lot of different channels actually other than that, but that's the only, we actually pay money for that. So it's worth it. Anyone else? Oh, yeah. What are some of the company values that I mentioned? So the one that I brought up was be a good human. Sorry, I had to think about that. And I think I mentioned it earlier, but that is the company value that we have surrounding respect and ultimately treating our customer incredibly well. It's very sweeping, I guess. So you could have one that's way more specific when it comes to like customer service and things like that, like specifically how do our employees talk to our customers, but it's ultimately up to you and the culture that you have and you want to build. All right. Perfect. Okay, so we've done all those things. And as far as I can tell you, the result is that we now have a team of people who just naturally treat our clients really well. None of this is super difficult stuff to understand. But what we've done is we have this amazing team. And now that we have 12 of basically Kevin, who's the founder of the company, treating everybody the way that Kevin would, we've created a lot of customer advocates. So that has created the word of mouth. And of course, we do some other advertising and things like that. But a lot of our growth is due to word of mouth within the industry, as evidenced by our NPS score and our customer satisfaction rating as well. And I personally think that the pure quality of our conversations and our relationships are the only thing that drive that NPS score and the customer satisfaction rating. You know, you can get a bunch of customers, but how well can you keep them and how well can you foster those relationships and continue to make them feel like business partners? For context, we are a B2B SaaS, so we truly feel like an extension of their team most of the time. And we actually do get the compliment quite a bit that we have the best customer service they've ever had in any industry, so yay for us. I don't think we can ever say we fully reach that goal though, because you can't take your eye off the ball and you have to maintain it as you scale. So I want to come to a point about having a good product and excellent experiences or excellent service. I'm originally from Nebraska. Do we have any Husker football fans? No, probably not. Just me. Okay. Well, if you've been following Husker football at all in my lifetime, they're not good at all. So they have been good in the past, but they haven't been good that I've known. And yet every Saturday for my entire life, I've worn Husker red, and I go to the games. Just last weekend, I was in Lincoln, and I went to a game. And it's not because of the product that I'm going there. I don't even like football, you guys. Like, I do not care. But it's because of the experience that they create. Actually, in Nebraska, the stadium on game day is the third largest city in Nebraska because of how many people come in. And that's including me a lot of the time. So all of those people are coming in because of the experience that, you know, the amazing marketers have created with these corn cups. They're shaped like corn cobs and they have butter on the tummy and it's like the cutest thing you've ever seen. But I'm there because of that experience, even though really they have a bad product. So I'm not recommending that, but you can absolutely get away with having a good product and excellent experiences and excellent services as well. And I say that because I know a lot of you are bootstrapped and your product probably isn't perfect and you can't put, you know, multi-millions of dollars into it to make it perfect today. So just know that the service goes a lot further than you might think. We've actually had days where when AWS goes down, we've been down, or even during data migrations and things like that. And our customers will write in and say, you guys got this. You can fix it. You're amazing. And I've never personally been in a company where that's been the case. And it's because of the relationships that we've built. We have this excellent service that even if the product isn't working that day and these people can't do their jobs, they have grace with us, and they continue to come back and be advocates for us as well. Okay, I warned you guys. What are your favorite brands? Huh? Vans. Why? All right. Artistic, genuine. Love it. Tipsy elves. Why? Fun marketing, and you open every email. Amazing. Personality, right? Yeah. Honda. Why? Good product? Yeah. Yeah. Experience is super easy. I'm going to steal something from a talk I listened to yesterday. He said that the sound of the door shutting in your car has a bigger impact on whether you buy it or not than like the Kelley Blue Book rating. So that was interesting. Hopefully your Honda must have a really nice sound when the car door shuts. Who else? Yeah. Okay. Your own brand. Oh my gosh. Amazing. Well, same. I told you to go outside your industry though, didn't I? I set rules. Yeah. So you got to give me another one now. Porsche. All right. Experience? You just like the car. The sound of the door shutting. I don't know. It's a thing. Yeah, I would say I have to give you mine too. And I have several, but I am going to go with Southwest Airlines. As far as their service, right? I don't actually like their product, you guys. Like, I want to sit in a window seat, okay? And you can't pick that. But, I've seen too many flight attendants who make like a toilet paper birthday crown for a little boy whose, birthday it is, or it's the kid's first flight and the flight attendants make a big deal out of it. They're just super creative and fun. And I don't even like the actual product. I did work for them, so I don't know if I'm a little biased, but it is what it is. So, anybody else want to share theirs before I move on? REI? Why? Sustainability and customer service. Yeah, have you ever gone into REI and been told to get out or have a rude person? No, they're all so happy. Trader Joe's actually just came to me. They're I've never had a bad experience in there. Is that what you were going to say? Super Goop. Right here all day. Yep. Fenty. I've heard of them. And why? Mm-hmm. Yeah. That helps. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you guys see how excited we got just talking about these brands, and we've never actually met the founders except for you because it was your own brand. It's an emotional response that we all have, and it's because of that human experience. We all just want to be connected, and if we're not creating that for our own customers, then why should we expect them to care about our brand and our journey? So keep that in mind. It's basic, but sometimes hard to do when you're on the other side of the coin. And I do have, it's not something that we're going to do right now, but Airbnb's CEO, Brian Chesky, he does this with his team where he will get everyone together and they will write down what 5-star customer service looks like in their industry and in their company. and then they'll go on to 6-star customer service, and then they'll go on to 7-star customer service, and they go all the way up to 11 stars. So that's something that you can do with your team to come up with some really quirky ideas. By the time you get to, 9, 10, 11 stars, it's going to be, this would cost way too much, or it doesn't even exist yet. But the gold is kind of in those middle ones where you can pull out things like, okay, we could maybe actually implement this, and would, someone brand new on your team have brought this up to you if it wasn't for that exercise? Probably not. So that's a little takeaway that you guys can do with your own teams. All right, we're wrapping up here. As far as my final thoughts, I'm biased, but I think it's the most important to invest in your customer-obsessed culture, and in my opinion, more important than some investments in your product. Obviously, you have to have a good product, right? But invest in that excellent service, and especially as we're moving into potential economic downturn, try to think about this and think about, all right, is your customer going to miss that one feature that you might not develop today, or are they going to miss Mallory, who they talk to once a week and they love? So just keep that in mind as well. And hire good people, guys. It's really hard. So, it sounds simple, but it is really difficult. But those good people are going to go into the world and do what you are hoping that they do. So I will leave you guys with one more quote. The most powerful and enduring brands are built from the heart. And that's from Howard Schultz, who was the CEO of Starbucks. So that's it. Thanks, guys. Anybody have any questions? I'm still here, so yeah. The question is, how do we deal with unreasonable refund requests? Do we just let the person have it or not? Excellent question, by the way. I think everybody deals with this. And it's case by case, honestly. If I think that person is going to go out on Facebook and do the opposite of what I just talked about here with the word of mouth, and they're just going to blow 20 other people from, our customers, sure, let's meet them in the middle. Let's meet them 100%. I don't really care at that point if the damages seem like they're going to be so much greater than whatever their subscription was, especially if you can prorate. That's a good one. We also try to offer credit, and then that way they can come back and use the product again. But yeah, it really is case by case and kind of like how mad they are. I hate to say it because I don't want to encourage people to be mad, but... What direction do we give to our people for that? To act like they own the company. So they should be thinking about these things. Typically, we get like 3 people together to talk about these things. The person who initially got the request, their team lead, and myself. And what I love to see is when the person who got the request says, okay, this person, seems really upset. He only used the software this much. He's been with us this many months. And I think we should give him, this much of a refund because he seems really upset, and I want to repair the relationship. And I'm like, great, do that. That is what I love. So I really try to encourage that critical thinking. And if they aren't already there by the time we're meeting about this refund, I do it with them, step by step. It takes me a lot more time, but the next time they'll maybe get that to click in their brain to think about it. As we grow, what do I think is the next problem we're going to have to scale for? This, probably. Hiring good people is incredibly difficult, and I think we're going to need to expand our people team, but in order to expand our people team, we need to replicate Lulu, who's sitting right there, and her amazing intuition on who to hire. But I think there's enough good people out there to be able to continue this. I just think we need to be able to find them and find them faster than we are right now. Yes. Oh, yes. Do I expect to diversify any of the roles in our team? Yeah, absolutely. I think we have our product is a whole host of things for home inspectors, so they can run their entire business from automation, the whole thing. So yeah, I think we're going to need specialists. I think we're going to need tiers, tier 1 and tier 2. We're actually already starting to do that a little bit. And I think that will only make the service better, putting our tiers together. So I foresee some issues, but nothing we haven't been able to handle yet. So. Yeah. Have we found performance incentives to be motivational, basically? And if so, what? We do a couple of different things. Really pretty small, because we have hired people who are more intrinsically motivated rather than the little carrots, but we do a monthly gift card for customer satisfaction rating. So they can get, $200 gift card for 100%, and then it kind of scales down from there. And then we do have a 10% bonus structure quarterly. So it's 2.5% quarterly, 10% over the year. What's up? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sure. Mm-hmm. On winning over enterprise customers? Yeah. Yeah. Man, find the person who's the right-hand man to the person in charge. you wanna find the ops person, and it depends on what your software does, because for us, enterprise companies, they're more concerned about the office tools portion, whereas we also offer an actual app for in-person report writing. So our enterprise companies are more concerned about the office tools, whereas the solo inspector guy is more concerned about the app. So when we're moving into enterprise, we try to find the office person who makes all the shots for the office, and then try to get in with them, call them, do whatever you have to do. Honestly, it's I'll put in a feature request, sometimes isn't good enough. And so you have to say hey, I talked to our head of product today, and we're going to, try to work something out, or I've got a workaround for you. Just try to act like you are completely catering to them as if they're your only customer. I mean, that's basically what we do. Anybody else? Great. Oh, never mind. We've got 2 more. Sorry, I'm going to go to her because she hasn't had one yet. Mm-hmm. Yeah, great question. Everyone at my company is laughing now. So I'm just going to repeat. She said she did some quick math, and we have about, you say, 625 customers per customer service person. Yeah, it's a lot right now. So we just hired 4 of those people, and we're still hiring. So we're a little bit behind the 8 ball, honestly. And I think the ideal is around 500 per person, and that's max. So we're trying to get that down right now. But yeah, basically, they're handling a lot. What's up? We use intercom. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The question is, do we send out surveys after every customer interaction? And we do. They're able to rate on a intercom does it automatically. They have 5 options to rate, and then they can leave a comment. Yeah. Great. Well, I think I got everybody, but I'll be hanging around a little bit. So if you guys want to come up and ask me more questions, please do. But thank you so much. You guys have been great.